Welcome back. In this video, we are going to focus on the income. We are done with the expenses. But there are some small touches. We will come back to it, but now we are done with that. So let's work on the new income. So you can challenge yourself by doing this income. Going to be the same pattern, creating the form, handling the form, and then dispatching the action, creating, and then display. So because the format is going to be the same thing, we're going to do some copy and paste for the income. So the first thing first is that let's go to the project. Let's close this one. And first thing, let's handle the form. So let's go to client, SRC, pages, expenses, and then income. To add income, you have it here. So let's see if you are handling the form. There's no form here. So what I can do is that I can even copy the whole of the expenses, right? Copy that and then place it inside the add expense, add income. And then let's change everything. It's like copy and paste, right? So let's rename this one to, or let's remove this one. Okay. Let's rename this one to, let me say 2, because I'm going to use this one. So let's rename this one as add income, right? Going to be the same thing, add income. I don't want to have duplicate, that's why I've renamed it as that, add income 2. So, or you can delete that. So add income here. So let's change this one to not expense, but what? Add income. Okay. And here, all the fields are the same, right? All the fields are the same. Tag description, and the difference here is going to be the action, because we haven't created our action yet. So let's remove this. That's why I said that we can make reusable components for both, but I just want to make it more simple. That's why I'm using the 2 different forms. Okay, so let's remove this one. There is no action for this one for now, and that is pretty much of it. So let's see, check the project, and let's go to new income. You see that I have record new expense. So let's change record new income. Okay, and we call this one income. And the background is not red, but is what? Is green. Is what? Is it success? Yeah, success. Let's see. Yes. Okay. There you go. Amount. There you go. Record income. So let's change the button. Yeah, record what? Income. And that is it. We are done with the form. As simple as that. So next thing is that. So let's remove this one. Okay. Let's remove the old one. So next thing is that let's create our action. So slices, expenses. For income, there's nothing. So let's copy this one. And the income, paste it here, and let's change this one to income slices, income. So have you seen the pattern now? If you understand it, the flow is pretty easy, and just like copy and paste if you know the other one. So here, not create action expense, but what? Create income. So I'll make it inc. Create income or full. Okay, so okay, create income to make it more. It's not expense, but what? Income. To change the action type, and everything remain the same. And the API, I'm gonna change here. It's not expense. Let's check the postman. Now we are done with you. Let's go to income. Create is called API income. So change this one to income. Okay, and we need the payload and then the token attached, and we're done with it. Here gonna be fetch. Is it fetch all income? Okay, fetch all income expense, and here is what? Income. The same thing, the payload, but here it's gonna be the income. So let's check the postman again for income. Fetch all is page and the name is income. So here is called income, and you need to pass in the payload page number. And for update is update income. Okay, and here gonna be income for my action type, and here I think gonna be the income. Okay, let's go to update. Yes, income. So let's change this one to how easy and how cool it is, and the same thing. Okay, so for the slices, let's name this one to income. It's no more expense. And for the builder, here comes the logic. Instead of create expense, let's multi-select, highlight one of them, command D on mark, and here is called create income action. We need loading, and here loading false. The difference here going to be the income created, right? It's no more expense created. There we go. Okay, everything remains the same. The next one going to be fetch all. So multi-select, fetch all income. See how cool it is, right? And here is not in expenses list, but instead it's income list. Okay, there we go. Everything remains the same. Up error, server error. For the update is update income action, and here is no more expense updated. You can guess income updated. And here let's rename our slices. Call this one multi-select, call income slices, and I get back my reducer. So you can guess. Let's check. There's some error we are facing. I'm not sure. Yeah, there you go. So let's map our income reducer to our store. That's why I love Redux toolkit. So let's go to store, and then let's bring in here import income reducer or slices, whatever you name it, from slices. And from slices we have income and income slices. Okay, so let's add one more property called income and income reducer. So now let's check our store. Refresh it and let's check our store now. Let's check our store now. Let's check our store. Why don't we have pending? Oh yeah, now we have income added to it. Okay, so now let's go ahead and dispatch the action to create. So add income, let's require create income action, auto import. Bam, we have it. Check it out, what we have, create income. And now I have my new dispatch. So here, dispatch here. Now let's dispatch it here. So dispatch, and I call my create income action and pass in the values. So let's check it out. Let's place the actual here and let's try our luck. So let's type something, some text, some demi text, and then some description, also an amount, record. Let's check. Create fulfilled. How cool it is. There you go. Okay. Oh, why we have errors here? I don't know why do we have the error. So let's check the way we did for creating expense. Add expense. Yeah, everything is okay. So why do we have that? I think there is something wrong with, need to have some initial state when the component mount. Okay, we have fetch all. Oh, the problem will be the user of, when the component mount, we need to pre-populate. That's when we're getting the ID. Yes. So let's refresh the project. Or I have to log out. Okay. Now I have the user. I think it's good to go. I think there was something like refreshing. I have my user. So let me refresh the project again and my state. For my initial state, I have users. So I think we are good to go. So let's pass something and something here. Create and create for field. Let's look at the action payload. User ID is required. User ID is required. Okay, so the same way we did for the controller, because like I said, you need to pass in the login user. Okay, moment of truth. Let's try and create. And when you're creating it, definitely you're going to get an error because the API, it requires us to pass in the user ID, right? The user who is what creating it. So when you are creating the expenses, I explained extensively because our API requires us to pass in the user ID. So we can get a login user and pass in user ID here, right? If you check the Postman, how you did it. When you are creating income, look at the body, we are passing in the user, right? But when we are sending the request from front end, we're not passing in this user ID. And this user ID is a login user, right? And we have two options to do. One, if we can get it from the store and grab the user ID and then pass in into this action, right? Pass in here and then as a request, or we can go back to back end. If you log in, we have access to the user. So let's go back to back end the way we did for the income. Controllers and income and create income. Here, as you can see here, this request require us to pass in user, but when you're sending it, you didn't pass in the user. So this time around, when the user logs in, we have access to the rec.user. So rec, let's grab it here, rec.user.id. We have the user ID here. The same way we did for the expenses. So let me show you the expenses one. Expenses, controller, and here we have it here underscore ID. So it is rather underscore ID. So now let's create it and let's see what's going to happen. Some dummy text and some amount. Let's see, create for field. We have our payload. There we go. Cool. So next is let's fetch. So the same thing for fetching. You need to render the component for fetching or the component to display the income list. So I can even quickly copy the expenses one, right? It's going to be the same thing. So why are worried? Do we need to? So have you seen how it goes? So you can create one component for the same table than doing copy and paste, but I just want to make it pretty easy to follow. So inside pages, expenses, we can copy the expenses list and come to income and paste it here. And let's change this one to income list. Income list. Okay, so let's change the name here to income list. So let's go to the app and display the income list component as a route. So let's require it here, income list. There we go. So let's copy one of these protected routes because we need to log in before. Let's change this one to income, and then here going to be the income list. So let's render this component called income list. There you go, but it returns for the expenses because we're dispatching the expenses. Check the left extension to we are dispatching the expenses here. So we need to change this one to, the name is incomes. Okay, let's make it incomes. It looks weird, but in programming there is no grammar. Okay, so next is, let's change this one to income, new income. So let's come to income list here. So for this component, new income, and the button is not danger but what? Success. And then when I click on this one, let's add income, the route. I forgot, so we can check. Let's try our luck. Oh, there we go. So when I click on it, that's the actual route. So next thing is that let's dispatch our action than their own action, than using fetch expenses. So here we're going to be fetch all income action, and because we are using the same component for pagination, going to be the same thing, right? So instead here, let's send, pass in this, and let's see, let's check. Yeah, because we have only one item for expenses. If you check for expenses income, you see we only have one item. Okay, I have to log in before I can. So copy that and go to fetch all. Let me add a token here because it's expired, and send. Now you see we have only one item for expense. Okay, pages, page number 1, right? Only one item for expense. Could we have the user here, and that is why we have it like that. Okay, we have one expense inside the data. So because when it returns the fetch all, as you can see, we have many of them. Okay, we have many of them, but the problem is that when you're looping through, we are not looping through the actual data, right? So here for income list, it's no more expenses here. That's the problem. So rather it's income in our store. Check our store and see we have income and income list, right? So here is income, the same loading and up arrow, but here gonna be income list. So let's select that and double select that and change everything into income list. Again, let me change this one. Select this one, select all, and expenses list. That is it. So let's change this one to income list. Yes, change it, and now there we go. We have 3 pages. I can go here and okay, because the date, some of them don't have some redefined date. So to avoid that, we can delete all your table or your data record, and it's gonna work fine for you. Or better still, if you want to make it work still, let's go to the content details where we are displaying all the details, right? And here, before we add the date, where is it? The date here. Let's check first. So first of all, let's check if item dot created at, if there is 1, then end operator, let's paste that, therefore call that. Okay, so let's go to income, and now I can navigate this, and now I'm good to go. You see, but this one has no date. This one has date, has no date because of the way we did. You can delete all your date table and you're good to go. Okay, so now income list is working. The next thing is when you click on this one, we want to display. You see that we have the same form, right? So we can make conditionals to update this, but make it more easy. We're going to create one more component for the edit, right? So we have the loading pagination is done. The last thing is going to be the update. So here, so you can make it one component to do that, right? To just populate and get this one done, but really make it more easy to follow. That means more simplicity. So here the next thing gonna be the edit, right? So we have for pages, for the expense, we have edit expense. So let's copy that and come back to income and paste it. This time around, it's not edit expense, but what? Edit income. copy that, and then let's rename it. This important here, and paste it. Change this one to edit income. So let's go back to our API, our app, where we are displaying all the components. So here is edit income pages. Okay, so now let's locate where we're editing the expense. So here, the same thing here, you need to log in, or if you want the admin to edit alone, we can provide the admin route. So edit income. So I explained this one extensively, so I took my time to explain that. That's why I'm moving fast here. Fast track, edit income. Okay, so now let's copy this route here. So now let's go to where do you call it? Is it edit the content details? So we're going to receive some problem here. Okay, so let's go to edit component. Sorry, the content detail, because this content detail is displaying both of them, right? It's what displaying both of them, and our use history says that it should always, the path should be edit. So to be able to navigate to a certain route, we can create our own navigation so that it will be dynamic, not that it should take us to the edit. Or better still, we can use the same component when it's rendered, edit, and then when you go there, you will check what kind of data type, then we can use the required action, right? So which one should we use? Yeah, let's use one component this time around. Okay, so here, because this onClick function always take us to edit expense page, so we are going to make it more universal, that edit, so that when you go to the edit page, you are going to determine whether it is income or expense. Remember that when we fetch all income, we have some type. Okay, docs, and let me check it out. You see that we have a type. Where is it? Type income, right? For the same thing applied for the expense. Let me go to expense 1, 2. So we can base on that. So let's go to expense. For expense 2, we have, for individual expense, we have a type called, where is it? Expense. So we can base on the action type, the type of record coming, then we display the specific action. So to make it more dynamic, more universal, let's change this one to just edit. So this time around, we don't need edit component or edit income. So here, we can remove that. Okay, we can remove that, and we can place the edit expense inside component because it's reusable, right? So let's copy this one and come back to components and paste. So here we shouldn't make it more implicit that explicit is edit expense, but instead let me call this one edit content. Okay, but I want to use this one, use the same one for the income, so I want to make it more universal, and let me change this one to the name to edit content. Select that and then paste it. So the import of the app will change. So let's go to the app and then let's remove the edit income here, and this time around is edit, and here let's require the component because it has changed. Edit and then content. So here I'm going to show one trick. Okay, let's place it here, edit content. So we don't have edit income, so we don't have edit expense too. All right, so now we have done some refactoring, but I think the import of the button has changed. So let's go to edit content. Where is the edit content? Here. The button has changed. So here the imports of display button, I think should be 1. No, I think it should go something like this. Okay, so let's import it one more time. Let's try the auto import for the disable button. Yes, so check it out and let's refresh. Oh, the SVG has changed. The SVG rather, under the edit content, the SVG, this one, yeah. I think we should like this. Oh, let me check. Yeah, so one step, images, and there we go. Refresh it, and the slides will also change because for the update action, the path has changed because we have moved from. So let's re-import that update action. Okay, and let's refresh. There we go. So now for this, the logic is that for this patch, we're going to check the type of data coming in before we can dispatch this action, right? So let's bring in, now we have our update action. Let's bring in update income action. So we have two types of action to be updated, but so let's call this one here too. Let's copy this one and then paste it here and change this one to update income. So which one should we update? We're going to make some conditionals here, which one to use. So remember, the item you got from this one, from this expense, so this time around, there's no more generic like expense, or let's make it data, right? So let's go back to content details, where we are sending, right? So let's make it item, rather, to be more general. Make it item here, come out to edit content. So here is what? Item. So let's change everything here, multi-select, and select all items here. Make it item. Like that. There we go. So for the item here, we have dot type. Okay, so let's console log the item here. Console log the item here. Okay, and let's see console log it, and we have dot type on that. Okay, let's go to the details one. Not here. Click on this. Yeah, you can see that we have the details here and we have a type. So we're going to check if the type is expense, then use the expense. So here, let's make some conditionals here. So if item dot type is equal to income, then let's dispatch the income. Cut this and place it here. Otherwise, let's dispatch the update expense, and that is it. So with this one, whatever we click on, so for example, whatever we click on, so let's say now update. So you see that update expense. So let's go to income, and I click on this income, and I click on this income fulfilled. You see that. But let's provide some text here to show the user that, hey, this is your editing content or editing is it here, because there's no text above there. Okay, so let's display the back. Where should we display it? Let's add some text here and see where we can display it. So where should we display it? So let's some try and error with the text. So let's add something here and see where the text will appear. Okay, so here we can add something. So here let's check some, let's add some h2 here, and let's check if the action, if the item on type is income, you will see that update income or expense. So if item dot type is equal to income, then we will say update income. Otherwise, it's supposed to be inside something. Oh, sorry. Let's do it this way rather before we add h2. I'm bad on my side. So if item dot type is equal to income, okay, then let's render h2 and it says that update income. Otherwise, the same h2 and it says update expense. So if continues, yeah, let's call this one update expense, like that. Okay, so now you see the update income. When I go to expenses list and I click on this update expense, click on that, and there we go. So the income is working, the actions, slides, everything is working. So what has left as maybe it will be the look at the final one, the dashboard. Okay, I'm not the admin, income list. We have the dashboard that we are going to display some statistics. So we're almost done with the project. So next video we are going to work on the redirect. When we log in or register or create an expense, we want to quickly redirect the person to whether expenses or income page.